Welcome to week 9 of Explore the Bible. We're continuing in the book of Mark. Excited about the passage today. We're going to be in Mark chapter 11. I think you're going to enjoy this. A little bit of a challenging passage, but really good as we've come now to the very last week of Jesus' earthly life here before his crucifixion. Just before this, we've had his entrance into Jerusalem on Passover. And so now we come up with kind of day 2 of him there in Jerusalem. So before we dive into that, if you haven't already, hit the little subscribe button. Subscribe, hit the like button. If you've got a comment or question, put those in there and then share the video with somebody else. We appreciate it when you do that, of course. And if you want to help support the ministry that we've got in teaching and missions, you can go to this website here at give.exposedtochrist.com and you can help us keep doing this. All right, let's dive into Mark chapter 11. It says, they came to Jerusalem and he went into the temple and began to throw out those buying and selling. Okay, you need to go back. You need to read the whole chapter, right? But Jesus enters in on Palm Sunday. Then at the end of that little section, it talks about them going into Jerusalem, into the temple, and he looked around and they left. Okay, so it's not first time in there. He was in there the day before. Then they also there was a fig tree that he had cursed that day too. So that's good before this happens. Okay, so read the whole chapter. So he saw them buying and selling, and he overturned the tables of the money changers and the chairs of those selling doves, and would not permit anyone to carry goods through the temple. He was teaching them, is it not written, my house will be called a house of prayer for all nations, but you have made it a den of thieves. So when they come in on day 2 into the temple, you see he comes in with purpose. He went into the temple and began to throw out the people buying and selling. He watched it. He saw it happening the day before. Okay, now it's important we recognize he's in the area of the temple, kind of the court of the Gentiles, where those who are not Jews are allowed to come in. This was as far as they could come, so this is where they could worship. That's why we have this, all nations thing. They're the ones that are welcome there, but we see we've got all kinds of buying and selling going on, right? We've got money changers, we've got people selling doves, we've got people carrying goods right through the middle of the temple. So when you gave your offering, it had to be in specific money. It had to be in Jewish money. So you'd have to trade in your Roman money for Jewish money. You had to have a good offering. The doves had to be, spotless. The lambs had to be spotless. So people have these that don't have money. They don't have a dove. Maybe they don't have a good one, so they're going to buy one. They would do this, and they were doing it inside the temple. So they were buying basically the mandated way of giving an offering. So they would buy it. Now you can imagine if you've traveled several days to get there, it's hard to bring things that an animal for an offering. So you just buy it when you get there. You can also picture that there's a little bit of, hey, we've got a premium here. Right? People have to have what we have, and this is the only place to get it, so we can sell it at a premium price. No doubt that was going on as well. And Jesus sees what's happening, and in essence, it's probably not so much the fact that they're offering this service. It is where they're doing it. They're doing it inside the temple, not outside, inside the temple. And so he says, my house will be called a house of prayer. Quote from Isaiah. He says, isn't that what's written? He said, this is not a house of prayer. This is a den of thieves, which gives us an idea about kind of the markup that was taking place inside the temple. No doubt that was occurring. Okay, Jewish leaders, the religious leaders, hey, this is a way of making money. This is a way of supporting the temple. So they justified it in their mind, right? This is a way of us supporting what we're doing here. And so it's okay to do it. But they missed their prime directive. You know how often we can get doing the things that maybe it's a helpful thing, but it's not our prime thing. And what's really bad is not when we add good things and we still do the prime thing. It's when we add good things and now we no longer do. The main thing is no longer a thing at all. It's not just a minor thing. It's not even possible for it to happen because of what the other thing that we're doing has now become the driver. That's now become the determiner in our lives. And that's what's happened here in the temple is that the Gentiles have no place to go and pray. They have no place to do this because this has become what happens. This has become what rules the day. Boy, we've got to be careful about that kind of thing, don't we? Let's go on here. It says, the chief priests and the scribes heard it and started looking for a way to kill him. If you ever had any doubt about how primary this had become, here's what they want. This is like, that's the last straw. Now he's messing with our money. They looked for a way to kill him, for they were afraid of him, because the whole crowd was astonished by his teaching. You know, what happened is the chief priests and the scribes look at that and go, he's messing with our money, he's messing with our business, he's messing with our ability to do the things that we want to do. And the crowd looked at him and went, you know, he's right. You know, he's right. We can't. This can't be the way it's supposed to be. They liked it. So then when evening came, they would go out of the city. They'd spend their evenings out of the city. So that day has ended. We come to the next day. Early in the morning, as they were passing by, they saw the fig tree withered from the roots up. And Peter remembered and said to him, Rabbi, look, the fig tree that you cursed has withered. It's withered. Withered from the roots up, which speaks to at the very heart, the very base of the tree. It wasn't the sun beating down that caused it to wither. It was the nourishment coming up that caused it to wither. The poison that was within that caused it to wither. And he got to read the whole chapter, right? So you go back and read the first part of chapter 11, you'll see this. But Peter says, look, that tree that you cursed is withered. Almost like he's really surprised that Jesus cursed that tree and then it actually happened. He can't really believe it, right? And here's Jesus' reply. And we're going to get into this and spend just a little bit of time here. I think it's important. There's some things here that we need to make sure we don't miss, and some things that we don't take wrongly and apply wrongly. Jesus replied to them, have faith in God. Truly I tell you, if anyone says to this mountain, be lifted up and thrown into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says will happen, it will be done for him. Therefore, I tell you, everything you pray and ask for, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. And whenever you stand praying, if you have anything against anyone, forgive him, so that your Father in heaven will also forgive you your wrongdoing. Okay, we like to live in this part here. It says that if anyone says and does not doubt, but believes, right, then it will be done. Right? Everything you pray and ask for, believe, and you have received it. It will be yours. We like to live there. Some people like to live there. And basically, they take this idea that all you got to do is pray for stuff, and you believe it, and it's going to happen. You believe it, you truly believe it, you don't doubt it, and God will make it happen. As if God was some fairy godmother. He was, a real Santa Claus that we just ask him and we believe it and he'll just give it to us. But I think we know from the rest of Scripture and from our own personal experience that's not true. We know that we've prayed and we've asked for things that have not happened because they weren't what God wanted. They weren't God's will. We've asked for people, we've prayed for people that were sick, and then they've died, and it was because we didn't believe that they would live. Is that why they died? Or was it because that was not God's will to bring them, maintain their life, to solve their physical issue for them? Could he not? Sure he could. Did he not? Well, he didn't. So is it our belief that we didn't believe enough, which is often how, if you take that idea and that approach to this passage, that's what you're left with, right? Well, if it didn't happen, then I guess I just didn't believe. As if God is beholden to us, as somehow that God must do what we ask. That is certainly that's not the case, right? The Lord is not beholden. He is not our servant. We are his servant. The key, what we miss in here that we have to take hold of, is the first phrase. Have faith in God. This is his exhortation to them. Trust God. And in this situation, who is the Lord? Well, Jesus is God. Trust me, trust me, trust God. Have faith in God. And you see, so then here's how this comes out. If it's God's will to take a mountain and pick it up and let it fly into the ocean, then you can pray that and it'll happen. And that may seem outlandish, but certainly that is the case. If it's God's will for a tree to die, then Jesus can say that it will die, right? And a big part of this is the contrast with what's happening in the temple and what's happening, what Jesus is telling them to do. In the temple, it's we've got to do all of these things to raise our money. We've got to create all of this. And, the business is the real deal. And Jesus is like, no, this is the real deal here. Have faith in God. This is what it's about. It's not about the business. It's not about the money. It's not about all of that. It's about none of that. There's nothing to do with it. It is about trusting God. This is what we're called to do, to have faith in God. And don't miss it. And don't take these other passages and run with them to a place where we miss the main emphasis is trust God. And if you trust God, all of this, he'll do it if that's his will. And then you get to the bottom, trust him, therefore you can forgive. Right? You can forgive. This is directly related to have faith in God. Directly related to have faith in God. Forgiveness and trust in the Lord are directly related to one another. Hey, hope that's helped. God bless you. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it. Be sure and subscribe if you haven't. Like, comment, share it with somebody else. We will see you next time.